Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So guys, today we are going to be talking about a kind of mold. Now obviously I don't have that mold in my garden, touch wood. None of my succulents are affected with that. So I'll be putting up the pictures on the screen so that you can refer to the pictures and probably you can check if any of your succulents have it. Now this particular mold is called as the Sooty mold. This type of fungal infection is also called as the black mold or the black sooty mold. It's among the least damaging fungi on your succulents. A lot of people tend to panic the moment they are going to see this, but don't be worried. Initially, it is not a very damaging fungus to your succulents. This infection is basically caused because of the presence of mealybugs, aphids, scale insects. Now, how does that happen is because aphids, mealybugs, scale insects, they tend to suck up the juices and the sap from the succulent. Now, as you all know, after they are done with that, they have to excrete that food, whatever they have eaten it, and that comes out in the form of honeydew. Now when these insects poop out the sweet substance which is called as honeydew, that is what the black mold or the Sooty mold feeds on. So the main reason over here, if you want to treat this mold, is that you have to get rid of those mealybugs, those aphids or those scale insects, because as long as those insects are going to stay on your succulent, they are going to feed on your succulent and they are going to poop out that honeydew on which this mold tends to feed. Now ideally, as I said, that this mold is not very damaging to the succulent, but over the period, if the colony of this fungi tends to grow, it is going to block the pores of your succulent, in which the succulent will find it difficult to do its photosynthesis. That is only in case if the infestation has increased a lot and it has kind of covered. Usually it starts on the crown area because that's where the soft part is. That's where a lot of mealybugs and aphids tend to sit on, and then they keep, pooping out all of the honeydew. A lot of times the ants also take up all of those poop, that honeydew that they tend to excrete out. But if that poop is left on, or that honeydew is left on the succulent, that is when the black mold or the Sooty mold is going to set up on your plant. Now ideally, this fungi does not directly damage your succulent, but it will indirectly damage your succulent. And as I said, indirectly, once the colony of this infestation increases on the entire succulent, it will be very difficult for the succulent to do their photosynthesis, because it's going to be completely covered on the leaves and it will start blocking the pores. So it does not affect directly, but it does affect indirectly to the succulent. So it's always better that the moment you start noticing this, immediately take some cinnamon powder, sprinkle some cinnamon powder, try to get rid of those mealybugs, aphids and the scale insects. Scale insects can be a little difficult to get rid of, so you can take a Q-tip with the hand sanitizer and just touch their back. And for mealybugs and aphids, as I said, you can just sprinkle some dry cinnamon powder and then blow it off. So it's very important that you get rid of those mealybugs, aphids and the scale insects. Once that's done, the mold will slowly start to reduce and it will get over, because the main reason why that mold is there on your succulent is because of these insects. So it's very important that you take care of those insects first, and then the mold will automatically go off. So a lot of people have been sharing pictures on Facebook and Instagram, so I thought that I'll quickly make a video on it, because it can be a little bit difficult for people to understand. A lot of people will think that, okay, the succulent is already dead, there is some bad infestation. Please do not use neem oil. Neem oil is going to kill your succulent faster than that actual mold. So be very careful. Do not spray neem oil on your succulent. Now I do not have issue. I have never seen the black mold or the Sooty mold, thankfully, because I don't have a lot of organic matter in my soil. As you all know, I do not use fertilizers. It's basically sand and garden soil. That's all about it. So I do not have much issues of fungal infection or fungal attack on my succulents. 7 years of keeping succulents, I have never lost my succulents to fungal attack. Yes, I have lost my succulents due to overwatering, or let's say due to excess moisture in the soil. I have lost my succulents, and that is usually during the monsoon season. But other than that, I have never had any issues with fungal attack. There was only once that I had bought a succulent that was the Kalanchoe chocolate soldier, or also commonly called as the panda plant. That is the one that I had that had this powdery mildew. I immediately discarded that entire succulent. I had recently bought it. I had kept it in an isolation for it to, if there is anything on it, so that it can get rid of. So what I tend to do is, whenever I get a new plant, whether it has bugs or not, I keep it for at least 2 weeks in an isolation location wherein they do not come in contact with my other succulents. And you won't believe, guys, after almost 1.5 weeks, I started noticing that the lower leaves were starting to get powdery mildew. That was the first time ever I seen powdery mildew. All of my succulents at my place do not have powdery mildew, not even one, because I do not have a lot of organic matter in my soil. It usually happens when there is too much of nutrients in the soil, and when the seasons tend to change from winter to summer. That small little duration in between is when this powdery mildew tends to have like an active period. But I have never seen it apart from that. Only one succulent, and I went ahead and discarded the entire succulent because I didn't want that to spread onto my other succulents. I have been taking care of all my babies really well, and I do not want a foreign succulent just coming in and spreading that powdery mildew to all of my succulent. So it had got powdery mildew on around 5 to 6 leaves, and I immediately trashed the entire succulent, because in order to save that succulent, I do not want to infect all of my other succulents, because powdery mildew, the pores of that powdery mildew tends to spread everywhere. The moment there is a slight breeze, the pores will spread, and they will spread the colony on other plants. So it's very, very important, if you have a plant that already has powdery mildew, immediately isolate it, take it as far as you can from your other succulents, because it can be dangerous. But yes, you can treat it by putting cinnamon powder, or by using whatever fungal solutions that you have, organic ones. You can try and use that. But I luckily did not have it. Touch wood, 7 years I never had powdery mildew on my succulents. I never had the Scotty mold or the black mold, thankfully. So it's all about how you keep a close eye on your succulents. Check on them regularly. If you tend to see a slight if you feel that there is something out of place, immediately isolate your succulent. Whether it is harmful or not, it's always better to isolate and quarantine that succulent. So that's what I did, and luckily all of my collections are doing quite well. I do not have any issues. Yes, I do suffer from this overwatering issue, because I'm from a tropical environment, and at times it becomes little difficult for certain succulents to adjust, and at times they tend to die, especially during the monsoon season. So I tend to be very careful. And apart from that, during monsoon season, a lot of these fungus mold tend to get even more active, because the environment is very moist, it's damp, it's cool, it's slightly dark, so they tend to have a very active growth. So ensure that you keep a close eye. Keep cinnamon powder handy. As you can see, I'm almost done with my cinnamon powder. I have bought another packet, so I always keep my cinnamon powder handy. The moment I see something very unusual, I quickly sprinkle some cinnamon powder and I move that plant away. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep propagating.